So we'll start with my number one overall. As I mentioned, it's Woody Marks. Before we go by position with a couple extra pickups, Woody Marks, 32% rostered. He should be 100% rostered after this week. I stashed him 2 weeks ago. Hadn't played him until this weekend when I lost Bill Merritt to basically lack of production, and I had a feeling he was going to get that way after not practicing. So I fired up Woody. Well, 25 PPR points later, I'm looking pretty good there. He probably just took the job from Nick Chubb, and if not, he at least planted his flag with the 2 TD performance. He outsnapped Chubb 40-30, and most notably, that grew as the game went on. He got more and more of a role as they saw what he was doing. He's projected for 10.5 PPR points this week, 38.7 rushing yards, and a 38.6 anytime TD percentage against the Ravens, which honestly feels a little conservative because they have one of the worst rushing defenses, maybe the worst rushing defense in the NFL. The model probably isn't trying to go full Woody after just seeing what he did in his first real opportunity with the workload. But I would not be surprised from just a observational standpoint to see Woody Marks run away with this job in the next coming weeks. His floor should certainly look something like 10 to 12 touches with at least 20 in both sides of the game as an upside. Next up, Wan'Dale Robinson. Look, the ball has to go somewhere without Malik Neighbors. He's the de facto wide receiver 1 here. You probably also want to look at Darius Slayton, though we had him projected for 5 points lower, so I'm focusing on the top guy. Robinson's rostered in 49% of Yahoo leagues, so he should be out there in at least some competitive leagues. That's 12 team makeup, so you should be able to find him. He still drew 5 targets in 3 or 4 games this season with Neighbors. He is coming off like his worst game so far, but it was Jackson Dart's first game. Pretty predictably run heavy. Neighbors getting hurt. I wouldn't read too much into the game plan from this one, and would look just further ahead as the logical guy who's going to be funneling targets from Jackson Dart. We project him for 13.2 PPR points, 54.7 receiving yards, and a 30.5% anytime TD probability. And just one tight end this week. I mean, come on, Darren Waller, fresh off 2 touchdowns in limited action in his debut, only 8% rostered in Yahoo leagues. The team just lost Tyreek Hill, too. It was already looking Waller's way before that happened. He should be playing full snaps moving forward. He should have a bigger role here. Tight end is a wasteland, as we all know. We're hitting bye weeks where guys are going to be unavailable, and the waiver wire pool is going to be smaller than ever. If you are in need of a tight end or simply have the roster space to add another, go with Darren Waller, put in your claim. We project him for 6.7 PPR points this week, 28.6 receiving yards, and a 17.6% anytime TD percentage. Wouldn't be surprised to see that go up a little more once your model makes some more adjustments, accounting for the complete loss of Tyreek Hill. And I got a couple more names here. However, they are on bye this week, so they won't help you this week, but they may not be available come next week. And realistically, they should be rostered, so there's never a bad time to stash a guy. One of those is Kenneth Gainwell, Steelers running back. He's 23% rostered. Steelers are on bye, as I mentioned, but he may not be there after the bye. Someone's going to pick him up. So if you don't, he won't be there when you need him. 2 touchdowns and over 130 total yards, including 6 receptions in Dublin. Best game by a Steelers back this year. Warren's banged up and questionable, though he's got the bye to heal up. You still probably want to have Gainwell on your roster. Running backs get hurt all the time, and it's often just who's producing. And Kenneth Gainwell's done that the best so far. And a guy we talked about earlier, but Romeo Doubs, 40% rostered, coming off a 3 touchdown performance. You'll have to live with the high upside, low floor that comes with a guy like Doubs with his roughly 5 targets per game. But we've talked about his big playability. We've seen his big playability. Matthew Golden's 82% rostered off of his draft capital and has 0 touchdowns. So Doubs should not be on the waiver wire. Put him on your roster. Play him when you need him, and just be aware that you're probably getting 20 or 2 points from the guy.
The prototypical boomer bust guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fantasy. It just is. But you want a guy who's, in a sense, a top 2 target on the Packers. So.
Yeah. And I think just strategically, this is how I run my fantasy teams. But, if I'm streaming a guy, if I'm trying to bring a guy in just for a week to fill in for a buy or something, I would rather go big, go boomer bust than bring in the guy that's just going to get you 6 points. Like the off chance of Romeo Doubs getting you 3 touchdowns the 1 week you start him makes him a lot more appealing than alternatives that you can find from the waiver wire scrap bin. So you're always looking for the huge play potential. Dobbs very clearly has that. He's one of our favorites on this program. So you heard the pitch. Thank you, as always, Dave. 5 very good names to get on your radar there if you are a fantasy football player. Reminder that the nature of this waiver wire and fantasy football in general is that we're doing it on Tuesdays so that you have a very quick turnaround to actually act on this, depending on your fantasy league's rules. So we know there's not a ton of shelf life here, but if you listen to this program every Tuesday, right when the episode comes out, hopefully you do have enough time to lock in some of these plays. And at minimum, hopefully you can learn some lessons from this segment on an ongoing basis that could apply to future weeks.